All right, back in the shop. Got some things going. I brought one of the exhaust manifolds from the car for finish welding and finish work. Today is November 20th, 2025. I feel like a newborn. 55 times over. Yeah, yesterday was my birthday. I'm 55 years old. Double nickels, baby. This sweet little thing ain't sweet no more. Jamie stepped in with the ultimate birthday gift. A companion for Frank. I mean, talk about a perfect match. If we can get the Dracula, if we can get the vampire, and there might be a mummy also. If we can get two on each side of the shop, forget about it. I think at that point we win. Gonna do a couple random things aside from the exhaust. I brought the Vise here, and there was so much good input on how that should be set up. So that's what we're gonna work on. The Vise, the exhaust, and our new mascot. Heck yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of input about this vise. So apparently it's a blacksmith's vise, and it should be mounted on the bench, as it was at the ranch. There was some talk about this needing to be mounted better. I agree with that, because if I am hammering on it, and you know you're going to hammer on a vise, that needs to be supported. That's going to break that casting. I was thinking about putting something in here as well to eliminate any swing, but lots of comments said that this is meant to go on the floor. Unbeknownst to me, I don't know anything about them. Now I know. It totally adds up. So when you hit this, it puts its, momentum of the slam into the ground. We're not on the ground, so I found this big chunk of steel. This was laying at the ranch too, and I thought, why don't we just set that up right under there? We'll weld it to this rim to take some impact. A lot of the discussion online also was, it's definitely heavy to one side. We're gonna get into that. I'm going to fill this with either sand or cement. I love those ideas. Also putting some weight on the underside of the rim, so it's still mobile. But yeah, you're gonna overuse every tool you have. So will I end up like bolting half a car to that and trying to bang on it? Probably. Let's make it strong. The last thing is a tip from Mr. Gene Winfield. It involves this plow disc and welding it to here. We'll get into that. Stay with us. First, I got this piece of steel too, see? I was thinking maybe something like that. Just offer it some support on two sides. But I think if we loosen these bolts up, we could wedge this in, because it's a darn close fit. And I don't really feel like cutting off any of this tool. Or do I? What do you think, for the sake of it? Why don't we loosen this up? We'll wedge that in. If we have to trim it with the disc, we'll trim it a little bit. And as I remember, it's 3/4 inch. I cleaned the shop, so we should be easy to find all the things. Sometimes it's like that. Oh look, 3/4 inch wrench, right where I left it. So this is kind of the thing, right? Now that this is loose, we want to just bring that up. Yeah, let's do that. I could just leave it like that, but it's gonna feel like it wants to slip away. Yeah, it doesn't really lift. All right, let's cut it. It's only metal, right? Should we want to restore it, we'd want to fix that broken piece also. So in essence, this is gonna work kind of like a auto body dolly. I mean, this is heavy. Something to just support and take that action, and also cushion it off the floor too, which, might be a little less loud in some cases. I don't know. Let's see, I want that to sit flat, that way it looks like a little something. see, that should just go a little bit different. Yeah, a nice hunk of steel. That'll definitely take some banging. And of course, total weld overkill. There's one neat thing about the ranch. Just a lot of stuff laying out there. Like, these people never threw anything out. And I know from some paperwork that was found that the fella did work for the railroad. So who knows, some of these, there was a lot of pieces of train track, you know, rail, etc. And fortunately, I was able to give my friends a lot of cool stuff. I'm gonna kick this up way high. Let's do it at like 25. And put the wire speed way up to like 500 and see what that does. I'm gonna weld it, but there's a tube in here and I gotta weld it on the bead there, you know. I'm gonna really hit it and then let it cool off. Yeah, all right. Got that. We got gas in the tank. Welding helmet is go. I'm just using this as a lever. I'll try to lift that up. Put some pressure up against that bottom of the vise. I probably don't even need to do that. I think my hand will be cool. Yeah, I'm just gonna really heat it quick and get out. Yeah, and I put the heat on this slab here, so on the inside of the rim I can just weld it. No heat problems there. Let that cool down a little bit. All right, while that compressor's running, just gonna measure up a couple things here. Take this over to the saw and chop a little. All right. The rain is coming in. This works out great. This is way off. We're gonna have to pinch that in. It's my fresh new hammer. Let's see how that looks. A little closer. Yeah, just about there. But I think we want to strengthen this up, so I'm gonna weld this in there. Actually, we got the welder on really hot, so I'm gonna hit this again. Then I'll turn the welder down and do the upper area. Cool. Ooh, that tire is boiling. If I pour water on it, I don't want to make a mess. I don't care if the tire goes flat. We're gonna fill it with sand anyway. All right, let's crank this down a little bit. Go back to, let's do 18 and 240. I like those numbers. Yeah, the more Frankenstein contraption this thing looks, the more I like it, I think. So let's bring this up to here. Set that even. Yeah, cool. So I'm gonna just hit it off of this plate here. Yeah, and that's a good heat and wire speed. Nice burn. So, you know, that'll give a little support for the, you know, twisting, the potential leverage twisting on that. I'm gonna clamp this. Got a kind of a funny joke I just thought of. You know, back when you were young, you know, you grow every year, right? You have to get new clothes because you grew out of them. I just want to say, now that I've turned 55, I'm starting to grow out of my clothes. Yeah, cool. So, remember this tubing isn't very thick. So that's why I'm leaving these gaps. All right, so we got two. Look at that. Dang it, if that don't just add what we need. I guess this is where we chime in about the, how am I gonna remove that bolt for servicing, right? The answer is I don't care about servicing it. I should never have to take that off again. And if I do, we got a torch, we got a grinder, we got a welder. So yeah, that's, you know what I'm saying? But having that like that, and I was thinking, you know, that's what this does on the bench, you know, potentially. I mean, it looks like it comes off of the bench a little bit, so maybe we don't even need a bumper here. But I mean, what else are we gonna do with our afternoons? Pouring rain outside. Maybe we'll just do this. Yeah. Let's do that. A little something. At this point, my only other option is to go home and work in the garage at home, and I have to leave the door open, and it's raining and windy and cold. Here, it's just chilly. All right, is this adding up? Is this making any sense at all? Just gonna tap this into place. Yeah, a little pressure fit. Just a little, you know, just a little of that. I think if anything, it just offers a little moral support. Not much. Should this take a huge impact, it's gonna just dent this whole thing, but we're talking about using it relatively properly. Now, we're talking about Mr. Winfield. He had these things in his shop, and I was just fascinated by it, and I thought, what a good way to make a counterweight for the vise, and a good way to have an additional tool, right? You know, this thing wants to tip over this way, and I don't think any amount of sand or metal or whatever is going to really stop it from doing that. It's always going to be heavy to that side, especially when there's something in there. So what if we put an outrigger on it? Now, what would this outrigger be used for? It would be nice if we had a hitting plate, a vise, a anvil style plate. But how about a sandbag? So yeah, you know, when you're hitting metal into a sandbag, you're creating a dish. So what if the sandbag is a dish? Feel me on that? Not my idea. Just spreading the news. Plow disc, you know, off of one of them harrows or however you call it. But this being here, that is going to just rip right off. So we need some support as well, and probably a little hoo-ha. So what do we got? Got a bunch of 1/2-inch plate left over. Some tube. Now I don't think we need to come all the way down to the bottom. Just something to, a little more support. I got this big ring. Cut off a slab of that. This is about 5-inch diameter, I think. Look how clean the floors are. And this is typically how I clean my room as a child. I would just toss everything in the corner, put something on it, and my parents would think I had done great work. True story. Now that I'm 55 years old, I can talk about that. I don't know. Looks like we might be falling short on this. Might just go with something rudimentary. Got some trailer hitch material. Piece of Volkswagen exhaust. That all added up to nothing. if I just did this? I'm gonna put this angle right there. All right, so I came up with a solution. I just had this in the scrap bin, and I was thinking instead of trying to plate the heck out of this, I'm just gonna add some support. And that's wider than that, so that's a win. Just clean up some of this rust. So I want to put this, we got kind of a shelf here, and I was using that for these too, so I was thinking if we do put a piece of steel that's, bigger than the disc, we set that about here. If I cut those bolt heads off, we'll be able to have just a little more reach. That's a pretty big panel to be lumping out for our car, so I feel satisfied with that. And once more, no great technique with the welder. Just stick it on there. Give it a little spread out. And let's kick this on. I'm gonna bring this heat up. Yeah, just looking at the height like that. Let's put this right here, right in dead center of that. Maybe a little bit to the top. Stick it on, take a look. Looks like it's got a twist. That way just a little bit. And horizontal wise, I think that looks cool. Weld the heck out of that. Well, let's not weld the heck out of it. Let's put a little action support to there, and then we'll weld it. If you remember the exhaust yesterday, when I welded the whole thing, it pulled in a little bit. So I came up with a remedy, but that's the thing. It's not that critical. It could be anywhere, but why not? Why not just put a brace up there? Yeah, I got this nice piece of rusty, it's like 5/8, it's a little heavy wall too. I mean, does that not look like it's gonna work out just fine? I'm gonna hit that in the saw right about there. Be right back. Yeah, hey, believe it or not, if I wasn't filming this on YouTube, I would be doing it this way regardless. Yeah, so it's gonna be on an angle. Let's bring it right out to there. Maximum. Bang. Yeah. Sweet. Put a little more leverage away from that falling over. Once the sandbag is on, that'll really help. Yeah, this welder is set hot. Hot. That's cool because it's burning off all this crust. It's one thing you can do, with a field weld. If you're out on the ranch, you got a rusty old gate, just burn it. Burn off all the crud. Yeah, there was one lug bolt hole. I just welded that up. This looks cool. Let's weld it. If that's not a contraption, I don't know what is. Cost? 3 bolts. Everything else is free. A sane individual might get that engine hoist up here. I think I got this. Yep. She's got some weight on. I could put a little thing here. Why don't we do that too? You know what I'm saying? Just spread out a little more love. You know what I'm saying? Just puts a little more grab on there. Yeah, cool. So there's 2 things we could do here. Number 1, of course, being the sandbag. And number 2, could just get a big flat piece of steel and just let it sit down there. We need to hammer like flat table or Vise style. This is going to the house, so limited workbench space. Yeah, so I mean, pretty reasonable amount. And what I was thinking, you know, this is right here, but if you're hammering on something, you know, you could start here. Feel me on that? It's quite a bit of potential, and this way is unlimited. So, it's a lot less tippy. I have to put some lubricant on these threads. Yeah, I think we're good. I can hear it transferring its ring right into the base plate. Now is everybody happy? I know I am. Thanks for those comments though. I probably would have just left it. So yeah, all the leverage is kind of kept up in 3 places from the banging. We're not going to break this nice casting. And yeah, we got some whacking room on the other side. Heck yes. Yeah, realistically, you just leave a couple plates laying down in that rim. You got plenty of banging on that. Dang, we had a nice plate down at the ranch too. It was about inch thick by 14-inch square, but either way, you know, you just maybe put those down here. So yeah, I'm gonna fill that tire. Somebody said just take a hole saw, cut through the sidewall, and pour it in. Love that idea. Other people said water, etc., but I think the cement will be a cool option. All right, on to the next. It's actually a little bit easier to move around too now with these extra leverage on the handles. These headers, I got this plate. You know, the key thing is not warping the base. So I got this plate, and I'm gonna clamp the heck out of this. I'm gonna weld all this together. 1, 2, 3, 4 clamps. Oh, wondering why it's not seating. These tubes are coming through, I gotta cut them. Now the fit up on the underside of these is not very good. But that's my problem, not your problem. I have to add some filler rod in here. All right, that was a really big gap to fill. And I recommend taking your time. Fitting up better than I did. Now, let's see what we got here. That was a huge gap. It's not the thing the fabricators like to talk about, but this is real. Yeah, my fit up was not very good at all there. And look at this gap, but that's where we're at. I'm gonna start this and I'm gonna move to that. You can see with that cover pass, I know grinder and paint makes me the welder I ain't, right? Hey, I'm owning that. I'm gonna grind that up a little bit. You'll see what it looks like in the end. And this is the underside. Should I have paid more attention? Taking my time? Yup. So if you should find yourself in this predicament, because a lot of people will, except the consummate professionals that always do it right. See, I welded this little set of beads across the top, and I got this set very low too. And this welder does a great job at that. I'll let that cool off for a minute. I'm gonna go to this one. Yeah, so that one came out like it should, not with this massive weld bead. Wish we had the welder cam, but I forgot it at home. But you can see how I'm just bridging the gap because I have this thicker bead established on the thin sheet metal tube. And I'm just going to pull it across and then a cover pass. And never look underneath the car at this weld again. All right, so pretty wide bead. Is it going to work? Yes. Is it going to flow? Yes. So it's a little give and take in that, right? I did what I had to do under the circumstances. I'm gonna put one more little bead. Let me tighten this, or let me raise up this voltage. Let's go up to there. Let's go to 18 and 300. I'm gonna just do a little bit just to fill that. It's going down pretty far. So, is that the best way to do things? No. It's gonna work? Yep. I'll probably just spray some heat coating on, like barbecue grill coating, then I'm gonna wrap it. But let's look at this. Because I'm gonna finish up the side you see a lot nicer. That was kind of my goal for today. Got a little hissing air hose. Yeah. So this is what I'm getting at. You got a lot of bluing from the welding, etc. But I want to take off, you know, the top of these beads just so it looks a little cleaner. See what I'm saying? Is it great? No. Is it good? It'll work. Yeah, so I just had some excess chunk in the bead of that weld. All right, so that looks a lot better than it did. I think it's completely acceptable for what this car is going to be used for. Now see, the top side, it looks a lot cleaner. You know, the welds are a little blobby because I did have to do a little bit of filling. So I'm just going to finish these up. First I'm going to put the hard grinding disc on it. Blend it out a little bit, and I'm cool with the way these came out. I'm going to go in with the burr and I'm going to weld all this. So you're going to clean that up, get any crust and stuff out of there, and that's the story of the header. Well, that's that. Thought the compressor would kick on, but it didn't. All right, so this thing is now cooled off. Sanded up pretty well. And I got the inside of those ports cleared out. So yeah, that's really ready for that heat paint and the wrap, as I mentioned. It will be said in the comments, I'm sure. If you took longer to prep it, it would be a more professional finish with less detail work at the end. You know what? I agree. And you should build your exhaust in that fashion. I'm going to play a little tune. And we're done for today. I'm going to bolt this on the car. See you next time.